Welcome back to Dezavi Productions. My name's Dezavi. Today, I'm going to show you how to make a beat inside of Ableton Live. I'm going to break it down step by step, so this will be part 1 of 4. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, hit that notification button so you don't miss a session. Without further ado, let's get to it. Alright guys, so here we have our session. Before we get started, I want to remind you that everybody's process of making beats is different. And what I'm showing you here today is my own personal process and what I find to be the easiest way for me to get my creative ideas out and into Ableton. And that's by building up loops here inside a session view. Then once I'm happy with what I got, I'll go ahead and record it into an arrangement view, which is this one right here. And then I'll start adding and subtracting instruments, building an arrangement, and eventually building up a song. So for this tutorial, I'm going to be using the Launch Key 49 by Novation. This is not at all a sponsored product. I went out and bought this, but I think it's really cool. And if you get a chance, go ahead and check it out because this controls Ableton. So I have my keys, my pads, and then this also controls the session view, and then I can use it as a drum pad. So I'm not going to be using any of the extra functions because I'm sure that not all of us have the same MIDI controllers. So I'm going to keep it as simple as possible. So first things first, the one thing I want to start with is by changing the tempo of the session. So in the top left hand corner, you're going to see a button that says tap. To the right of it is a number, and this right here is your session tempo. So I'm going to click on it and I'm going to change this to 90. 3 buttons down from that, you're going to see 2 circles. One of them is empty, the other is filled in. This right here is your metronome. By clicking on it, you enable it and we can then hear the metronome. To the right of that is a little drop down arrow and you can change the count in, the sound, and the rhythm. So let's go ahead and play this and see how the metronome sounds. Okay, it's a little bit too loud, so if you want to change the loudness of the metronome, on the right hand corner here is the master track, and then we're going to go down the master track and we're going to see a little knob that has a little blue highlight. This right here is your cue. So we're going to turn this down and let's go ahead and play the metronome. Alright, that sounds like a reasonable volume. Okay. Next, let's go ahead and start adding sounds or instruments. So in the first MIDI track here, I'm going to add a piano. So I'm not going to use any of the Ableton sounds here for now. I'm going to go to one of my plugins here, and I'm going to go to VST, and I'm going to be using Addictive Keys by Excellent Audio. So you can either double click on it, or you can simply click and drag this down into your device. As you can see, once you add a device, Ableton will then record and enable the track that you just dropped the device into. So we're going to have to re-record and enable our dialogue here. So we're going to be using the Studio Grand by Excellent Audio here in the Addictive Keys. I'm going to change this to jazzish, and let's play some keys. Okay, so let's go ahead and play this with the metronome before we record it so we get a good rhythm. Okay, see what I mean? Okay, let's go ahead and record that. So we're going to close the device here, the plugin. And in the slots here, what's pretty cool is that you can use different clips for the same instrument. So if we want to change up the sounds during the beat, then we can go ahead and do that by adding different clips. So for the first one here, we're going to go ahead and press record, and it's going to do a count in of 1 because that's what we have in our settings. So I'm going to go. Okay, so let's go ahead and record that. I messed it up there. Going to stop it there, and let's go ahead and play this. Turn down the metronome a little. So let's go ahead and edit some of the MIDI notes that we recorded. We're going to do that by double clicking on the clip that we just recorded, and then we're going to pull this up. And if you want to see just the notes that you played and you don't want to see the entire keyboard here, on the left hand corner here, you're going to see fold. If you click on this, it'll collapse down all the notes into the ones that you played. So I'm not gonna quantize this because if I do, it's gonna sound a little bit too perfect, and I want it to sound nice and natural. But if you wanted to go down that route, just simply highlight the notes, use Command Shift and U, and then you can then quantize your clips. But as you can see, it makes it a little bit too perfect, so I don't want to do that. So instead, I'm going to simply catch the notes here that are a little bit too early, because I want to have every individual note be able to be heard as it's played and not all at the same time. So let's go ahead and play this. So this one's a little bit too early. This one's a little bit too late. Extend these. Okay, sounds good. These right here, the velocity is a little bit too loud, so I'm going to turn this down a little bit here. And let's go ahead and play this. Okay, perfect. All right, so next we're going to go ahead and add some drums. So we're going to collapse this right here. Oh, too much. All right, yeah, that's fine, whatever. Okay, so we're going to go to the second MIDI track, and we're going to go to categories. We're going to go to drums, and then we're going to go down to one called Azimuth Kit. Let me see where it's at. Azimuth. Come on. There it is. Okay, so once again, you can either double click it, or you can simply click and drag this down into the track that you want to add it to. And once again, it will record enable that track, so we have to bounce back to the dialogue. And let's go ahead and switch the controller here to drums. And I'm going to turn this down because I'm pretty sure it's going to be a little bit loud. So let's go ahead and play this. Okay, so we're going to be adding a kick, a snare, and a hat. So I'm going to start off with the kick and the snare first. And let's go ahead and play this before we record it. Let's go ahead and turn on the metronome, and let's go ahead and try to play this or record this. I'm going to stop it there, and this time we will quantize this because I'm pretty sure I messed it up. So I'm going to double click on the clip there, and we're going to pull this up. And I'm going to highlight the clips or the notes, and I'm going to use Command-Shift-U, and I'm going to quantize this down to a 16th note. So let's go ahead and play this now. So I'm going to go ahead and take this one out. Let's go ahead and play this. Sounds off, so we're going to add it back. And let's go ahead and add a hi-hat to this. Now, there's two different ways that you can add notes. So remember, we have this folded down and collapsed because we want to see the notes that we just played. But if we unfold it, we're going to be able to see all the other sounds inside of this drum kit. And I want to add a hi-hat. So if you tap on the drum pad, it'll highlight the note or the key for which it's being used. So we can actually add in the hi-hat without having to record it. So we're going to press B on our computer keyboard, and this will activate draw mode. So I'm going to go to here, and I'm going to use Command-2 to widen the grid from a 16th note grid to an 8th note grid. So I'm going to go, I'm going to highlight this. Let's go ahead and play this. Fold this. Okay, so I'm going to highlight the hi-hats. I'm going to turn down the velocity a little bit, and then every other hi-hat, I'm going to turn down the velocity to give it a little bit of a bounce. So I'm going to highlight every other hi-hat. And I'm going to go to my velocity here, and I'm going to turn this down, and let's see what this sounds like. the piano sounds a little bit off on the last one, so I'm going to go back to it. Okay. A little bit off right there. Let's go ahead and play this. Okay, there we go. And if you feel that the hi-hat is a little bit too loud, you can go to the MIDI track here, and you're going to see a little collapse here, a little drop down. So if we're going to click on this, and we're going to click on the next one, and it'll show you all of these sounds inside of that drum kit and all their volumes. So I'm going to go to the hi-hat here, and I'm going to turn down the volume on just the hi-hat. It sounds much nicer to the ear. And next, to give us some of that feel that we're actually adding in here, we're going to add some reverb. So these here are your sends, send A and send B, and these correlate with your tracks that are on the right-hand side here. So you have A, which is reverb, and B, which is delay. So I'm going to turn up the A to give us some more reverb. I'm going to turn it down a little bit. We're going to add some reverb to the piano. Okay, so far so good. Next, I want to actually add an audio sample. So I'm going to go to my audio track here. I'm going to highlight this. And next, I'm going to go to my browser. I'm going to go to my search. And I'm going to type in rain. And we're in drums here. So we're going to have to go to all results inside of categories. And here we're going to find some of the clips that have rain and thunder. So I'm going to choose the second one here. And we're going to add this into the audio track. And then we're going to press play. It's a little bit loud, so we're going to turn this down. And then next, we're going to double click on the clip. And in here, we can select where the sample is going to start from. So I'm going to go to the left-hand corner here, and we're going to move this over a little bit. Let's start it right there. And once it gets to the end here, I do not want it to go to where the thunder hits. I'm going to go right here, maybe a little bit right there. Let's play it from here. Let's see what the thunder sounds like. Okay, we'll leave that part in there. That sounds cool. We'll leave that in there too. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and add an effect here to the rain and thunder because I don't want it to sound out too much. I just want it to be a subtle background sound. So I'm gonna go to categories. I'm gonna go to audio effects, and then I'm gonna go to EQ and filter. I'm gonna go to EQ8, and I'm gonna click and drag this into the audio track. And in here we can mess with the EQ, and I'm gonna cut out some of that high end. So I'm gonna go to my number 4. I'm gonna do a low pass, and let's go ahead and roll this down as we listen to it. Okay, that sounds pretty good. Next, we're going to add a MIDI track. So we're going to use Shift Command T, and this gives us another MIDI track. Now in here, I'm going to add a brass. I want it to sound kind of like a bass, but it's not necessarily going to be a bass. So we're going to go to categories. We're going to go to sounds. We're going to go to brass, and I believe it's called, what's it called? I think it's called Arena Brass. Let me see. Okay, so I'm going to double click here. And then I'm going to go ahead and maybe play from here. Okay, so let's go ahead and turn this down a little bit. And we're going to mess a little bit here with the oscillators. Some of the stuff here. It kind of sounds bassy. Let's turn this one up here a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna turn this down and let's play it with the beat. Okay, so let's go ahead and record that. We're gonna press on the little clip here, record. We're gonna record this. One count off. Stop it there. We're going to double click on the clip. Let's go ahead and see what we got here. This one I will quantize. So I'm going to highlight here. I'm going to go to Shift Command U, and I'm going to do a quarter note, apply. Oh, too much. Sorry. Command Z if you mess up. So we're going to go to Command Shift U, and we're going to go to eighth note, apply. Okay, that sounds better. Let's take a look. Give this a little bit of reverb. Okay, I'm gonna add one more thing to this beat. I wanna keep it simple. Sometimes less is more. So I'm gonna go ahead and add another MIDI track. So I'm gonna use Shift Command T. And I'm gonna delete this audio. We're not gonna need it. So I have my MIDI track here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to categories, go to drums, I'm going to go to the top, and I'm going to create an empty drum rack. So I'm going to double click here. Sorry, it cut me off there. And I'm going to go to my own sound library. If you're not sure how to build up your own custom drum rack or even know how to import sounds, go ahead and check out some of the videos that I did on these topics before you dive into this to get a better understanding. So we're going to go to sound library. I'm going to go to my drum kits. These are all my own personal sounds. I'm going to go to Arsenal. And I'm going to go to crashes. I believe my favorite one is this one. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to simply click and drag this down into the first one. And now I should be able to play this on my drum pad. Okay. And then let's go ahead and type in for a tambourine. Gonna go here. A lot of stuff in here. Let's go ahead and go with all results. No. Let's go back to sound library. Sorry. As you can tell, I'm being really authentic here. I'm just kind of browsing through these sounds, building up this beat. So. What about modern samples? Okay, this one sounds really nice. So we're going to click and drag this down into it. And then I'm going to add the crash to the beginning of the loop. So I'm going to just straight record this. I'm going to shut it off there. I'm going to double click here. And where it says length, we're going to go to type in 4 bars. So that way it gives us 4 bars of a loop. And then I'm going to highlight this, Command Shift U, hit OK for a quantize. And then next we're going to go ahead and add the tambourine. So every now and then. I'm going to turn down the track here. Let's go ahead and let's play with it first before we record it. Okay, let's go ahead and add that in. So to layer on some of these MIDI notes so it doesn't over-record or overwrite anything that you already have, you're going to press the little plus button that's in the middle of the screen in the top corner, in the top of the middle of the screen, and that's going to be your add a MIDI arrangement overdub. So we're going to go ahead and press the little record button here, and let's go ahead and record this. I don't know why I recorded on my vocal there, but we're going to go ahead and delete that. We're going to double click in here and we're going to quantize this once again. Shift Command U, eighth notes, and let's go ahead and listen to what we got here. Okay, not bad, right? So I'm going to solo this instrument here. Sorry. Okay, so it sounds good, but I want it to sound a little bit more bright. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the filter here inside the sample. We're going to go to filter, and I'm going to go to a high pass, and I'm going to cut some of that low end. I'm going to turn up the volume. So if we turn off the filter, turn it on, and let's see what this sounds like. Reverb a little bit. All right, so let's go ahead and start messing with this a little bit. Let's see what we can build up with here just by muting some of these instruments and see what each individual track sounds like as they complement each other before we close out this video. And then on the next video, we'll go ahead and record it into the arrangement view, and then we'll start adding, subtracting, building up the arrangement, and then we'll move forward from there. So let's go ahead and play this one last time. This out for now. Play from the top. Okay, so let's go ahead and close out this video here. We're gonna talk about the arrangement, recording it into arrangement view, and then basically adding, subtracting, and then we'll go from there in part 2. So hopefully you guys found this interesting and you guys get an idea of how to start your own beats. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in part 2. Thank you for watching. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and stick around for part 2. I'll see you at the next session.